What could be a better system of government than letting the people know what issue bothers their nation and them choosing who they want to take care of it? Well, of course, you taking every decision for them because the people don't know shit. But to bend democracy to your will, first you're gonna need 5 things. Number 1 is ascending to power the rightful way. Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin came out of Leningrad State University with a law degree and went straight into the KGB. From 1991, he worked as deputy and advisor to the Leningrad mayor. He then became head of Federal Security Service, the KGB's replacement, and later acted as secretary for the Security Council of President Boris Yeltsin. This Yeltsin guy had an approval rate of 5% by the Russian people and was on his way out and needed someone from the party to be next in line for the position. Yes, it took a little bit of being in the right place at the right time, but hey, somebody has to, right? In 1999, Yeltsin replaced his prime minister with a young Vlad, by all accounts a liberal and a Democrat that will make a great heir to the throne, successor. In 2000, Mr. Vladdy P became president. In 47 BC, bear with me, Octavius Caesar became member of the board of Roman priests, the pontifices, at 16 years old. His great-uncle Julius Caesar became chief priest, the Pontifex Maximus. The next year, Octavius joined Julius Caesar in a public celebration of his victory over his enemies in Africa. And the next year after that, Octavius accompanied Caesar in a military expedition to Spain to deal with the sons of the defeated Pompey the Great. Yet another year after that, in 44 BC, Julius Caesar fell victim to 23 stab wounds by members of the Senate, former friends and current enemies alike, for fear that his concentration of powers would turn the republic back into a monarchy. Octavius was a 19-year-old student returning to Rome from modern-day Albania when he found out Julius Caesar's will made him his adopted son and sole heir to his personal fortune and political and military influence. Although not a democracy by any means, the Roman Republic was a government of many in the form of representation by the Senate, heavily reliant on keeping the populace happy. Number 2 is making sure you have enough support to exact your changes upon the system. As a former KGB agent, Putin had all the support from the Secret Service to manipulate polls and media against his enemies because, in his words, there is no such a thing as a former KGB agent. What follows now is the support of the people. From December 31st of 1999, Putin took command of armed forces against the separatist movement of Chechnya. By late April of 2000, the capital city of Grozny was decimated. Mr. P had managed to get his first victory and prove himself as the strong leader the Russian people were looking for. Julius Caesar's will called for games to entertain the people, but since such games require funds, and Mark Antony had control over the funds of Caesar and refused to grant Octavius access to it, Octavius borrowed money to fulfill his great-uncle's wish, which granted him support by both the public and the troops of Caesar. After, let's say, a kerfuffle with Mark Antony over their respective positions in the wake of Caesar's death, Octavius marched alongside him upon those who had killed his great-uncle, the quenching of Rome's bloodthirst. Number 3 is making sure the local elite doesn't get in your way or else. Putin gained further public support by taking on the billionaire oligarchs who had plagued Russia since the anguishing 90s. Meeting them in the Kremlin, Putin told them they could keep their money as long as they kept out of politics and backed him. Those who didn't, such as one Mikhail Khodorkovsky, were arrested at gunpoint and sent to rot in a Siberian prison. In 43 BC, Octavius and Mark Antony agreed to share power along with the new high priest Lepidus as a triumvirate. They also agreed to do away with those members of the Senate whom any of them considered a threat to public order. 300 senators and 2,000 aristocrats were put through the blade or the vial of poison. Number 4 is making sure you don't deceive people through propaganda, but that you rather use it to help them deceive themselves. Putin took control of every Russian television show, radio station and newspaper. The ones for him were allowed to keep operations running. The ones against him ceased to exist. Any dissidents he quickly put to rest. They either died in mysterious plane crashes, or got sent to prison on make-believe charges, or fell on a bullet or something. Octavius' kerfuffle with Mark Antony started again some time later. Octavius produced a will that he claimed had been issued by Mark Antony, in which he asked to be buried in Alexandria alongside his witch, Cleopatra, and not in Rome. He turned Mark Antony into a foreign threat and attacked. In 31 BC, after the Roman head of state won the Battle of Actium, there was no more Mark Antony to speak of. And number 5 is maintaining the facade of an electoral government while consolidating all the power within your figure. At the end of his second term in 2008, Putin stepped down into the position of Prime Minister while appointing his buddy Dmitry Medvedev as president, because the Russian constitution banned him from another term. To solve this issue, he called for a national referendum, and his dear Russian people voted in favor of changing the limit and extending his term. When the time of elections is forthcoming, he makes sure his opponents get no media coverage, and any results that don't conform will be changed. In 27 BC, Octavius had allowed provincial governors to name their own proconsuls and return all his powers back to the Senate and people of Rome. 4 years later, he resigned his consulship. Why wouldn't he? His immense financial power allowed him to summon armies at will to maintain order and stability. After years of civil wars, he was the only one able to bring back peaceful times. So the Senate and people of Rome gave him back the powers he had lost through surrendering his consulship, and then some. He gained absolute veto power on Senate decisions, and more importantly, he could take legislation straight to the people that so dearly loved him. Why go through all this trouble instead of appointing yourself dictator? Well, because you wouldn't be bending democracy, but outright destroying it. A fool's game very hard not to fall into. Brawn gets you to power, brain allows you to keep it. And what could be better than that?